Okay, so story time about how my best friend ended our 15-year friendship for her boyfriend. You know, I've heard so many stories like this, it really isn't even surprising. So a little background information, I was around 18 or 19 when this all happened, and I was also in between graduating high school and my first year of college. By the way, this story was sent in from South Africa, so we're going to have a little bit of that sort of slang in here, she put it. So matric is like grade 12 or your final year of school. Jewel is like a party. And yeah, so anyways, for a little bit of context, I grew up in a small town slightly outside of one of the main cities in Africa. And in this very small community, there was only one school that literally everybody went to. So obviously it was inevitable that we ended up becoming a trio of best friends. And we're gonna call my best friends Kayla and Julia. So we all met whenever we were about 4 or 5 years old, and now we are all currently 19. And when I say that we were like sisters, well, we were like sisters. Anyways, I'm going to give the whole rundown of our friend group and who played what role and everything like that. So first on the list is me. Now, I am the, how do you say it? More blunt one of the group, okay? If that makes sense. You know what, never mind, I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it, okay? I'm the confrontational friend who everybody calls scary. I'm a bitch. That's what it is. I am a bitch. But only when I need to be. Like, no one really liked to mess with me. Purely because I'm not afraid to say what I'm thinking, and I do what I say and say what I do. Now, Kayla, on the other hand, she was more reserved, but she also thought that she was better than everybody else. Like, this sounds horrible, but she's one of those people that you can kind of just imagine looking down on you with a disgusted face for purely no reason, just because you exist, literally. And then there is Julia, who despite being born into a family that was very wealthy, she always acted super humble. Well, and she was super caring, still is, but yeah, she didn't grow up like your typical, you know, rich bitch. Now, don't get me wrong, she was a person who didn't mind confronting people, but she took a more indirect approach and she was more empathetic about being straight up than I was. Now, like all friends, we had some pretty big fights here and there, and to be quite honest, I went to boarding school because I couldn't handle all the bitchiness. But the good thing about us was we always made up. So anyways, we all got into this huge fight in 7th grade, and I decided to move schools because of it, and I went into boarding for high school. Now, by the end of 8th grade, all of us sorted out all of our issues, and they ended up coming on a summer holiday trip, which is during December in South Africa. Anyway, so 2 pretty big things happened. First, Julia told us that she was moving to England in about 2 months. And secondly, her family fell in love with this beach town and they bought a mansion on the beach, and we were invited to go, and it was super nice because I literally got my own room in this mansion that they have on the freaking beach, which is like insane. I mean, mainly because they were my second family and they pretty much treated me like one of their own kids, so of course I had my own room. So, you know, Julia moves to the UK and I'm back at boarding school, leaving Kayla by herself in my hometown. Now, this caused a lot of tension, but it also kind of forced her to come out of her shell and mingle with people around her. Now, quick side note, now when I look back, I can actually see how rude she was to literally almost everybody for no fucking reason at all. Like, she pretty much just had it in her head that she was this super important person who everybody should respect and bow down to. Anyway, so we all remained in close contact, of course, despite us all literally being in different places. Julia would come every December to her beach house, and I of course was always invited, and Kayla and her family were always invited as well. So, you know, they would come along for like 2 weeks, and it was super normal for all of our families to be there as well because our families were also super close with each other. Now, everything was going great between all of us until Kayla decided to get a boyfriend, and we're gonna call him Tom. Now, at the beginning of matric, which remember is 12th grade, this relationship was probably the most toxic relationship I've ever seen in my life. Not even trying to over exaggerate. And before this boyfriend, she previously had a boyfriend that was super abusive, and emotionally damaging, but this guy was on a whole new level. Tom just knew how to top that one. So in December of 2021, everyone saw how much Kayla had changed, and I was asked to give my opinion about Tom, as I'm the only one besides her sister who has properly met him. And as you can tell already, I was never a fan of him. I did not like him at all. Not one. Nope. He is basically a nepotism baby that came from a country neighboring South Africa. He honestly acted like he was the only person in the world that mattered, which I guess Kayla acted like that too, so it isn't a surprise. But he also just acted like he didn't care about anything. So now we know how I personally felt about Tom, but of course I never said anything. And listen, it took all of my strength to literally hold back from going off on this guy multiple times. But I was trying to be supportive and a good friend, you know? Like, I tried so hard to be supportive of this relationship, but no. So it all started in April of this year. We are all now in university, and Kayla and I are at the same college in South Africa. The university is a 2-hour flight away from our hometown, and Julia came to South Africa just to attend her sister's wedding. And obviously she told us, we all made plans for her to stay at Kayla's because she's in a private accommodations. Like, she pretty much had her own room at the college that we were at, and I had a shared room. I think that's what she means. So, you know, Julia arrives in South Africa and attends the wedding, and now it was time for her to come to us, and we had planned for her to go to Joel, and it was Friday. Remember, Joel is like a party. But I get an unexpected message from Julia asking if it was okay for her to stay the night at my house, which was weird because she was supposed to stay the night with Kayla, which, to be honest, it really wasn't a good time for her to spend the night, but I wasn't going to leave her out on the street, so of course I said yes. So we snuck her into my residence with a 20 kg suitcase and all. It was a lot of work, but you know, we did it. So obviously I asked why Kayla canceled on her, and she said some really stupid excuse, but I was like, okay, like, I'm not dumb. You're gonna tell me why she actually canceled. And apparently it was so that way Julia could go and see, Kayla could go and see her boyfriend. Literally, that is why she canceled on our best friend, who would have had nowhere else to stay if it wasn't for me. So, you know, Kayla comes back on Saturday, and now is when the drama starts. So we're all out at the bar drinking, and the drinking age in South Africa is 18. And, you know, it was all chill vibes until it wasn't. Literally a girls' night out. We were supposed to have cocktails and wine, and then suddenly Tom calls. Literally right as we're about to start this, and he just starts going off. He starts saying that we're bad influences on Kayla. So of course she starts crying, okay? And Julia and I are like, okay, this really isn't healthy, obviously. And I would have been way meaner about the situation, but Julia obviously was, you know, being the good friend. I was like good cop, bad cop, you know? While we're trying to talk to her, Tom is calling her. He called her like 24 times. She then decides that we're all gonna go home because she doesn't feel like being out anymore. I go back to my place, and then they go to Kayla's apartment. Obviously, I'm stressed out about her, so I'm talking to Julia the whole time to see what's going on, and Kayla locked herself in the bathroom and refused to leave until Julia left her house. So, you know, the next day comes, and I fetch Julia. Her and I go to the airport. Kayla didn't even literally come with us to say goodbye to our best friend of 15 years. So I was confused. Julia literally didn't do anything wrong, and now that I look back at it, obviously I see that it's the toxic relationship that Julia's in, but that didn't occur to me at the time. Oh, and then, yeah, Kayla ended up blocking her. Literally blocking her for no effing reason. Like, what the heck? It is crazy what, like, people in a relationship will do for the other person. I mean, like, I've been there. Like, trust me, I really have, but, like, holy shit. Anyways, Kayla messaged her and pretty much told her that it's her fault that their friendship is about to end. I spoke to Julia when she landed, and we decided that I was going to stay friends with Kayla, so that way when Tom does, you know, pulls his bullshit, she'll have a shoulder to cry on, because, you know, we still love Kayla, still want to be here for her. She's still our best friend. So fast forward, I've now seen more than enough of their whole sad relationship, and I finally told Kayla how I feel about him, and she understood. We agreed I don't need to be around him when she's with him, and so on and so forth. Now I was happy with this. And then the one night she tells me that he was arrested for drugs and is now in a mental hospital with constraints on. She also told me how she tried to sneak off and see him and sign release papers because she's of age and he isn't. No comment. Like, what the fuck? Like I said, people get crazy in love sometimes. So So I told her that I needed a break from our friendship and I needed some time to think. Then she proceeds to tell me that I don't need time because actually she's ending our friendship, and to be honest, I wasn't fazed at all. I really just thought to myself, okay, whatever, you know, we'll sort this out in a month or two whenever she leaves this douchebag. But now I will never speak to her again. Like, never again. She messaged me about 5 days ago asking to go to lunch or get coffee, being all sweet, using heart emojis and everything like that. She was like, let's go get coffee, XOXO hearts. And I really couldn't tell if she was being sarcastic or not. And knowing her, I probably just should have knew that she was being sarcastic. But of course I agree because everything is kind of on my terms, like where, when, and I thought she was going to apologize to me. But oh, was I wrong. Oh, was I wrong, you know? Like, girl, you have no friends. What are you doing? Like, I'm like the last of her friends, by the way. Literally. So, we decided to go to an ice cream place. I decided that I want us to go to an ice cream place. And we got some ice cream. We went and we sat outside the ice cream shop. And she sat down with like this smug face, like, And she crossed her arms and she was like, okay, so talk. Like, what the fuck do you mean? Didn't you say you wanted to meet up? Anyways. So basically the conversation went along the lines of me explaining how I just really couldn't take this shit anymore. And I literally said, listen, I love you so much and it hurts me to see you hurt and I'll always be there for you, but not while you're dating him. Like, I can't be close to you while you're in this toxic situation. I was like, you know, message me whenever you finally come around and you have broken up with that man. And I was trying to be as nice as possible, okay? That was really nice for me. Now her response was, well, I'm never gonna see you again because we're never breaking up. So what do? I stand up very calmly and I'm like, it was nice to see you. And then her like immediate reaction was, it wasn't nice to see you. So I was like, all right, yeah, I know it wasn't. Goodbye. Now I'm back at my university, you know, debriefing Julia on the whole situation because she knows how much effort I put into helping Kayla and being there for her, you know, trying to help Kayla see the lights, see the toxicity in her life. And then Kayla has the audacity to send me this message. And I took out some of the personal things that she said about me because it was actually very terrible, but I'll give you the rundown. She goes, just for the record, I'm really not fazed that I'm losing you as a friend. You're clearly not worth it and clearly have a lot more issues to sort out. You're not worth my time. And how dare you lie to my face multiple times and act as if you're a better person than me when you can't even get your own mental health in order or under control. I'm doing perfectly fine. Just a quick thing. Yes, even if I only have one friend, at least they like me and at least we get along and understand each other and are there for each other and are genuine. Anyways, I'm doing a lot better than you. I can look after myself. You can never say that you care about me or want what's best for me. I hope you get better soon. After this message, I will never be able to speak to her ever again. I will never be able to look her in the eye and say that she was ever a friend. She attacked my mental health, came at me for things that I had told her in confidence and, you know, thinking that she would never go and ever use that stuff against me. And my mental health is something that I've struggled with my whole entire life. I have anxiety, I have anorexia, and that's what she had to say. Like, that's the most inhumane thing that she could have did. Like, she just broke me. She attacked my personality. Obviously, the other things that I just said. Whereas I always made sure that anytime we argued, I would never bring anything up. That never even crossed my mind to bring any of that shit up. I literally only spoke about how toxic her relationship was. Literally, like, I just wanted sis to, you know, kind of like, yeah, you know what though, somebody has to want to get better. They can't get better for you, they have to want to get better for themselves. For the record, I didn't lie about anything and I'm actually doing really well mentally right now since I've kind of kicked her out the door. So yeah, I lost a friend that I had for about 15 years to a high schooler that isn't even passing matrix, which remember is 12th grade. And I'm probably gonna think about these past few weeks for the rest of my life because that was my best friend, like from childhood to being an adult.